The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the desolate landscape as the three parties stood on the brink of convergence. Ezekiel, haunted by the knowledge of Dr. Foster's experiments and the potential consequences of his own abilities, sought counsel from his most trusted companions. A heated debate ensued within the ranks of the outcasts, some urging cooperation with the survivors, while others saw an opportunity for dominance over both the living and the undead. Back in the last haven, Captain Sarah Rodriguez grappled with the information about Ezekiel. Trusting a man with control over the undead was a precarious decision, yet the looming threat of Dr. Foster's enhanced zombies forced her to consider desperate alliances. Dr. Emily Turner, the group's voice of reason, advocated for a cautious approach, wary of the potential repercussions of striking a deal with Ezekiel. As tensions mounted, Dr. Foster's enhanced undead closed in on the last haven. The once mindless creatures moved with a calculated purpose, a result of the mad scientist's unholy experiments. The survivors' defenses were put to the ultimate test, with Jake Miller working tirelessly to fortify the base and Lisa Thompson doing her best to keep the children calm. In the hidden laboratory, Dr. Foster monitored the chaos he had unleashed. Blissfully unaware of Ezekiel's existence, he reveled in the havoc caused by his creations. The rogue scientist, oblivious to the impending collision of forces, continued to believe that he alone held the reins of power in this new world. Ezekiel, burdened by the weight of his decisions, made his way to the last haven. The moon cast an eerie glow over the landscape as the nomadic outcasts approached the fortified walls. A tense silence settled, broken only by the distant moans of the undead. The eclipse of the damned had reached its zenith. The survivors, outcasts, and rogue scientists stood at the crossroads of humanity's destiny. In this grim theater of survival, alliances would be forged and broken, sacrifices would be made, and the true nature of each party would be laid bare. As the first confrontation loomed, the lines between friend and foe blurred even further, and the world awaited the resolution of this deadly dance in the shadows. During the investigation period, Karl Tanzler's statements saddened everyone, as the latter expressed his intense love for Maria Elena, demanding that he be allowed to recover the body and return to his home. In the meantime, at the end of the investigation process, Karl Tanzler was released without trial. The reason for this is due to what is known as the statute of limitations, which established the expiry of the time period specified for filing a case against the guilty, as the date of desecration of the body dates back to the year 1933. As a result, the American authorities displayed the body of Maria Elena Milgro publicly in the museum's corridors, before she was buried in an unknown location inside the area cemetery. Despite everything that happened, Dr. Karl Tanzler's love for his lover did not stop. Following his departure from the Key West area and settling in Pasco County, Florida, he promoted postcards bearing a picture of his lover, in addition to obtaining a plastic doll that he dressed with some of Maria Elena Milgro's clothes. He treated her like his girlfriend. After the American authorities decided to display the body of Maria Elena Milgro publicly in the museum's corridors, the story began to arouse widespread interest in public opinion and the media. The interesting character in this story was the Dr. Karl Tanzler, who had a strange and tragic love story with his lover, Maria Elena. After the incident, despite being subjected to intense criticism and disapproval from the public and the medical community, Karl continued to remain in Pasco County, Florida. His life after that was surrounded by secrecy and isolation, as he took care of himself alone and avoided mixing with people as much as possible. As time passed, the story gradually began to fade in people's memories, but this incident is still considered one of the most strange and tragic stories in the history of the United States. Karl Tanzler, who lived a life full of tragedy and mystery, did not appear much in the media after that, and the details of his later life remain completely unknown. He may have lived a quiet, isolated life, or he may have been affected by traumatic events and suffered from psychological problems. The life history of Karl Tanzler and Maria Elena Milgro remains a unique case in the history of crime and human relationships, and their story holds harsh lessons about obsession and tragic love affairs and the impact they can have on the human psyche. During the investigation, many horrific details were revealed about Karl Tanzler's relationship with Maria Elena Milgro and about the illegal transportation and embalming of her body. The investigations were complex and interesting, and investigators discovered many clues that revealed the dark psychological aspects of Karl Tanzler's personality. At the end of the investigations, the decision was made to prosecute Karl Tanzler on charges of manslaughter and abuse of a human corpse. The trial was long and complex, and included shocking details about Karl's life and strange behavior. After long and complex trial sessions, the court convicted Karl Tanzler of manslaughter and sentenced him to long prison terms. After the ruling, the story receded and slowly faded from memory, but it remains one of the most famous, bold and horrific stories in the history of crime.